to No Movies in Hell. I'm Chris Geiger.
Hello, Class Scott, and today we are reviewing Something in the Dirt, a nice indie film. Oh, it's now streaming on Hulu. I had to think for a second because I had seen this movie a couple months ago. It had a one night screening at Alamo Drafthouse in New York, and now it's distributed on streaming. So it's easier to find, and I enjoyed this film. It was very different.
You saw Q&A.
I did. With both the directors who are also stars of the film. I saw this trailer, well, I want to say last summer, and I think you had pointed out to me, and I was like, oh, cool. And then, it just kind of didn't know where to find it, and then found it. So I'm just happy that they got like distribution.
Yeah. I think this is not their first movie together, or it is not their first movie of this style.
Okay.
Although I didn't see their first movie, so I'm not 100% sure on that. It was interesting to kind of watch, and they made it. They were working on it as a documentary, but then they were bringing other people in throughout the process to help them edit and create special effects. And so you see that footage spliced in, and you get the perspective of those other third parties who came and went on the project over time. You don't really expect the ending, or I didn't really expect the ending to be what it was, because you would have thought that in the conversations with those other people, it seemed like they didn't really know how it ended. So it was interesting. I wouldn't say I loved it, but I'm glad I watched it. I don't know if I would recommend it, though, to very many people.
I actually would recommend this because I feel like now, like, you go down this rabbit hole, and what really stood out for me is this film was a lot about internet culture. It was like finding that one thread, and you want to like pull the thread to figure out like what happened and where the story was going to go. And then you kind of want to be the first person to say something about it or be like knowledgeable on a topic. There's this point in the film where I distinctly remember, hopefully it's not the Mandela effect, of them trying to say like, this source says X, Y, and Z, and this, and then like they couldn't give the sources, and it literally became, I saw this on the internet. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is such a like a mirror, holding up a mirror to internet culture around certain phenomenon and certain things that happen, and conspiracy theories. And it just goes down this rabbit hole where it's like, well, is it a fiction? And as they're starting to build this documentary with all these people, it's like they wanted to confirm what they saw, and it became like this game of like almost planting a seed in order to have that as an established fact to go back and say like, this is actually what happened. And then it was like, for me, it was that brain breaking moment where it was just like, oh my gosh, this is such a commentary. And then you learn the backstories of these people, and it's just like, oh wow, like this really, really is it's just really, it makes you think a lot. And I enjoyed that part of like, oh, okay, I get it.
I like the dynamic between the two guys and what, like, their interaction as this external force is putting pressure on their relationship, and how each of them deals with that. That was interesting to watch. So I did like the story from that perspective. Whatever mystery thing is happening, it didn't have to be that. It could have been something completely different that brought them together. While it was an interesting part of it, I think it was almost a distraction until you get to the end and you're like, oh, that all right, I didn't see it. I didn't see that coming. So let's go to the slides.
Oh wow, we gave the same score.
We did, but we got there in a different way. How did we get there?
Very true. Very true.
So you gave it a higher score for cinematography, and I give it a higher score for Rater's Choice. But only by half a point. So
yeah.
So we had similar feelings about this. Better than average, for what it was, but not the greatest. Not the greatest. But I
Yeah.
definitely think we'll see more from these two guys.
I do think so. And I did read something up that I think they got a production deal for something else. Yeah, I think that we'll be seeing more of them in the future with different types of films, but this was very interesting and I'm happy that I saw it. I wouldn't recommend it to everyone, but I would recommend it to people who were very into mysteries and into kind of sci-fi, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. It's interesting because they're a team, and we saw the Daniels this year have so much
Hmm.
success in the award circuit. And previously, I don't feel like there have been like a ton of two-person teams who have really had a lot of success. Joel and Ethan Cohen, of course. Maybe this is kind of the era of the team where you'll get more from two party, maybe even the third party, three party groups coming forward with interesting concepts.
Yeah. Yeah. I never really thought about that, but I think you're right.
So be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. And thank you so much for joining. We will see you next time.
Thank you.